I keep having dreams where I'm back at school. I keep becoming lucid in these dreams simply by thinking to myself, I'm not at fucking school anymore. So I was having one of these dreams and I was talking to an old friend that I've lost contact with over the years. When I became lucid, I had a bit of fun by quizzing him on why he went back to school at 26. He just looked confused, as dream characters always do. Then I tried something interesting. I figured that somewhere in my subconscious there may be some memory of his old mobile phone number, which is something that most people keep for years. I know I haven't changed my number since I was 14. So I asked him to write his number on a piece of paper. He really struggled to think of a number. I remember him saying something, with a load of 7s on it for some reason. The number was 018007777CE2, which is completely useless, obviously. So a failed experiment, but an interesting one at that. I had become intrigued with the idea of lucid dreaming ever since I had first found out about it. It became an obsession, and I would research it and attempt to do it every night, while checking to see if I was dreaming even when I was awake. Last night, something happened to me on the edge of sleep that I did not expect to happen. I had napped earlier in the day, so I attempted to fall asleep at a normal time even though I was not the slightest bit sleepy. I stayed up until nearly 4 a.m. and started drifting off to sleep when I heard a terrifying entity burst into my bedroom through the door and started yelling unintelligible things. After listening carefully, I came to realize that it was a hallucination of my father's voice being played extremely loud all around me. I knew that I was stuck in sleep paralysis, so I calmed myself down, closed my eyes, and focused on the hypnagogia fluorescent lights underneath my eyelids. These swirled and made shapes, faces, and places, and the yelling got quieter and quieter. I then attempted to try to interact with the hypnagogia lights and shapes, but what happened instead was I felt an intense vibrating feeling all around my body, and felt myself floating up a few inches, and then sinking through my bed underground. The vibrating was so intense and so loud and strange that it terrified me to the point of waking up. Even when I woke up and looked around my room, everything was twisting and morphing like I was still hallucinating, or was not fully awake yet. I want to continue the experiment with lucid dreaming, but this incident rattled me to my core, and I am a bit discouraged because I do not want this to happen again. Was this incident normal? Should I try again? So last night I had it, my first self-induced lucid dream. I am a Navy, as so I am placed on a ship. Therefore I know this ship through and through. So this night was like, why not picture or technical center, or TC, in front of me? So I did, and it worked like crazy. I was actually in it. I felt myself breathing and walking around. Every detail was there. I heard some noises like people were working behind this table, and I could smell the room. So now I see my corporal walking in the TC. He asked me for a screwdriver. I always have it in my pocket, and I gave it to him, without saying anything. Next thing I did was an RC, reality check. So I pinched my nose and breathed through it. I was a little bit excited, but not too much because I knew that when I would be, it would end the dream. As the pervert I am in my dreams, I thought to myself, I want to have some fun with that girl on that ship. But I couldn't remember her name. Next thing I know, she walked into the TC and then waved at me like, come with me. Cool, I thought. I followed her through the decks and she entered a shaft for the diesels. When I entered it, she was gone, and I was like, okay, what could I do next? I could get into some crazy realm through a door, so I summoned a door behind me, and it was my first time. I got more excited because it worked. There was a number at the door, 27. Anyway, I hoped for some kind of realm behind it. The door opened itself. All I saw was a blue sky and some white clouds. I don't know why, but I thought, nah, some other time. So the door closed itself. Next year, I'm going to Curacao with another ship. I've never been there, so I wanted to go really bad. So I wished for Curacao behind the door. When I opened the door, I was already in it. From my working clothes, I was in my shorts, walking on a very long, curved beach as I felt the waves getting against my feet. I thought it was amazing. When I looked at the right of me, I saw 2 big volcanoes sticking out through the mountains and trees. Even though it doesn't really look like Curacao, it was like paradise. Wow, is this actually happening? Do I still have control over myself in the dream? Yes! I walked over some blanket when I saw my phone on it. On the blanket was a number. Again, 27. What is this number? For some reason, I left my phone on the blanket. I walked further and saw a man. I spoke with him and agreed we were going to build some kind of red small submarine. It didn't take very long to finish. I went inside it and thought about that number, 27. I woke up and was very excited about this dream, but was still questioning the number 27. That's when I realized my parents are married for 27 years today. I got even more excited. Dreams are awesome. I asked a dream character what the secret of the universe was, and he proceeded to show me a wall mural of a mountain in the middle of an urban landscape, which I presumed to be Montreal. So I'm a casual lucid dreamer. I learned when I was 15 or 16 and have had a few dream journals, and I do reality checks every once in a while, but it's not regimented into my life. Things I've noticed in comparing my lucid dreams to the lucid dreams of others is that they tend to be far more vivid than mine, and I've always have given the example of my dreams being of VHS quality, and other people dreaming in HD. Most of the time the dreams will be quite short, and the activities I end up doing are superhero in quality, which tends to wake me up. I've only had one other lucid dream where I sat down and decided to meditate, and that turned into an extremely vivid, colourful and peaceful experience, the sort of feeling I'd hoped to get from actual meditation. Here's the dream. I started off on a train. It was white and futuristic, and some obnoxious little girl is trying to squeeze past me with her backpack on that hits me. I look up and see her two older sisters, one is fat and one is skinny, and relatively attractive. Both end up razzing me for not letting her get by. I stand up angrily, like to move on to another part of the train, and to sit down. I find a seat on the right side of the train, sit down and rest my head on my lap. I notice that my lap has a backpack on it, or a plastic bag, acting as a pillow on it. I rest my head on it, and it sort of deflates to conform my head. The train is going uphill on a road, and I notice some buildings across the street and some music playing. I realize that the piano music I hear I can recognize and ultimately end up controlling. I can't remember the tune, but it was cool. The bag I'm resting my head on seems to have a leak and begins deflating a bit. I tried to block the hole with my finger, but that makes things worse, and it deflates completely. The scene sort of changes, and I'm surrounded by new people at the back of the train, outside. The song changes to a French song that apparently myself and the man in front of me both know, and the whole crowd is singing along to the tune. It ends and everyone begins clapping. The second we begin clapping, my handy reality check kicks in, and I look at my hands, try to poke my finger through my palms, and realize I'm dreaming. I look up at the guy that was singing along with me in astonishment, and jump straight to the point. Keep in mind, my lucid dreams don't tend to last long. I'm assuming I don't have time for pleasantries, and ask him, what is the secret to the universe? He said something that I think is baptized, and I feel like because I didn't like that word or answer, I told him I couldn't hear him. So he said, become an orator, or a writer. One of the two. We get off the train and start walking. He's got a paper in his hand, and he's asking me to follow him urgently. The scene is no longer outdoors and during the day, but almost like we've come into a cave at nighttime, or an underground area. As I'm following him, I realize I've skipped the pleasantries and ask if his name was Pierre. He says no, it's Claude. We walk up to his big mural of a mountain and in the middle of an urban city. The landscape is dark and evil looking, and the mountain has its top cut off like Devil's Tower from Close Encounters of the Third Kind. There's flares or red lights on top of the mountain like a helipad. I'm not sure if Claude led me to the mural to show me, or he was just using the wall to write something down on paper he was carrying. I then woke up. For me, this is a huge step in lucid dreaming because the quality of conversation with the dream characters and the stability was really good. So, my dog died last week, and I've been missing her ever since. My one regret was that I was too busy with summer classes to go say goodbye when we put her down. Last night I was able to have a lucid dream after seeing my dog alive and knowing that she was dead. It was a short dream, but I was able to say goodbye to my dog and have some kind of closure. I know that it wasn't really her. It was just my mind's reconstruction of her, but it meant a lot to me. So I thought I'd share. By the way, you're dreaming. Thank you very much for listening to these stories. They were great to read, and I'm glad I shared them. Lucid dreaming is amazing, and I want to hear your story. If you have any stories about lucid dreaming, feel free to share them with me. The link to my Twitter is in the description, and you can DM me if you want to. I shall see you next time, but for now, please, keep dreaming and take care.